Hello, everybody. I'm Matthew Bruni here, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, today we have Jett Howard, Michigan freshman, 6'8", and a little under 20 years old. An interesting prospect for me. It's funny if you watch that Michigan team, how much talent they have, and we weren't able to win anything, but still, Jett Howard, Hunter Dickinson. We've already done Kobe Buffkin, those guys. So Jett Howard, another shooter on the board here. What do you make of his game? What do you think? Do you like him as a prospect, or are you off him?
I like him a lot, and it's just because he has the instant translatable skill of shooting. I think his ability to get his shot off quick and get hot and not care about closeouts and things like that. And not the moment phase him, I guess. There you go. A lot, and the fact that he's able to have high percentages with that, I like a lot. He's not going to be like a Jordan Hawkins where he can kind of come off screens and get his be the movement shooter that those guys are, like Grady Dick and stuff like that. But he's able to be a elite threat from the catch and shoot, and I think even pull up as well. I think he's also a very good scorer off the dribble with his shot, and he can punish people with the midi and his 3-point ability.
Yeah, I think he has some potential off the move, at least because of that off the dribble stuff that he
Yeah,
showed. He showed up the mid range, the pull ups. Um, Shot 38% on pull ups this past year. Really comfortable in that area. So I think he'll be. I think he has potential as a movement shooter. Um, I do like his release a lot. Good elevation, high release. I mean, he's 6'8" already, so that helps. Um, I like the playmaking. Now, not on ball playmaking, but as a functional playmaker, right? So
yeah.
as the ability to not get sped up, to read the court, to make one read passes, like those are the things that Jett Howard, to me, you watch him and you're like, okay, this is a basketball player that can grow, I think, in a lot of different ways. So the shooting is what's going to get him on the court, and the shooting is why we're high on him as a prospect. But I think he has the potential as a playmaker and a decision maker to be. I mean, we saw it a lot of times we see it with shooters at times where they come off screens and the guys are flying at them. Obviously, we see it with Steph and Clay and JJ Redick, like guys that teams flying at them and they can take the one dribble in and boom, make a pass to the open help side. Like that's the difference for me. And I think Jett Howard has that potential coming off a year where he did have 2 assists per game on a team with enough talent like Buffkin and Dickinson to make it to where he didn't have the ball as much in his hands. So 14 points per game, um, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 41% from the field, 37% from three, 80% from the free throw line, only 1.3 turnovers. Um, I'm really high on Jett Howard. I'm trying to see where I have him on my board here. Um, yeah, I have him one spot below Grady Dick on my board.
Where is that? What's that number?
22.
22. See, I think I have Jett Howard a little higher. I haven't rearranged my board yet. I'd,
Mm-hmm.
I'd honestly maybe take him because he reminds me of Desmond Bain coming into the draft. I think Desmond Bain is a little bit more physical than Jett
Mm-hmm.
Howard, but in terms of his deficiencies, which we'll get into in a second, I think that the plus side of the shooting and the pull up, I think adds a lot. The fact that that's there in the playmaking, as you already mentioned, I think that that's going to make it to where I'd take him like 17 ish.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't hate that. So obviously, let's get to the question marks here, and a lot of it is defense
Yeah.
oriented. And the thing for me, when I evaluate defense and prospects, it's more of a can you do it than a did you do it type of thing. Now, obviously, for the good defenders, that's different, but for the bad defenders, it's can you do it versus did you do it. I think Jett Howard showed enough flashes to me that he's capable. Now at 6'8", I don't think he's not quick enough to really guard any guards in the NBA. He gets screened really easily. His athleticism doesn't stand out on either end really, but especially on defense. So I'm not sure how much I buy he can do it. But I think he's in a similar boat with Grady Dick for me. It's like, all right, they're big, they could be strong. Maybe they can figure it out at some point, but I definitely don't think it's a future strength for him.
No, to me, watching Grady Dick, I think Grady Dick's a lot better defender. Only in terms of foot. I feel like watching Jett Howard play on the perimeter, it was like, what is happening? Like I felt like there was almost like no resistance. It's like me
Yeah.
out there. If I'm playing basketball. Like,
Yes.
I just feel like his stance is the biggest issue for me. He doesn't know where to put his feet when he's getting attacked on the defensive end. Not only that, you already kind of mentioned it. He's not physical or athletic enough, and this is also both a or offensive thing as well as it is a defensive thing. Is I think that he's not. I don't want to say he's averse to contact, but I feel like he doesn't take contact well. It affects him a little bit more than I think other players. So on the defensive end, obviously that leads to him not being able to be physical, mismatch in the post. But on the offensive end, finishing ability, which I don't think he needs for a player like this. I don't think you need, you're expecting him to get to the rim because that's not what he's going to be. But it's something to still keep an eye on in case you want him to. I mean, that's going to be everything else is gravy on top, and that's part of the gravy is can he get to the rim?
Is it gravy on top or icing on top?
Both, depending on what you're making. Are you having dessert or are you having a meal?
True. Okay. I just immediately thought of gravy on ice cream, and I was a little
Gravy on ice cream. See,
a
yeah, but
little
when I think
careful.
icing, I don't think icing on ice cream. I'm
Okay,
thinking
yes, icing on a cake. Yes, I understand, but that's just where my mind went. I'm just
fair
telling you where
enough.
my mind
Fair
went.
enough. Fair enough.
Comparison wise, I think there's one player that very much reminds me of Jett Howard, or Jett Howard reminds me of, and that is Michael Porter Jr.
I disagree.
Okay, why do you
I
disagree?
think Michael Porter Jr. in college was way better of a playmaker.
Well, Michael Porter Jr. in college, I can't evaluate him in college. He didn't play enough in college for me. He was.
Oh, I guess I get okay. I guess if we're going off of now,
Just go off NBA. I'm
sorry,
going off
I always
NBA.
get confused like with who we're making comps with depending on.
I'll
Like
tell you if I say like as a prospect, I'll be like Michael Porter as a prospect. But
okay,
I Michael
okay,
Porter
okay,
NBA.
okay, okay. The Michael Porter now,
Because
but
I
don't you
think
think?
Jett Howard has the ability to shoot on off like off down screens, off pin downs and stuff like that, like to turn and catch and shoot. Like he has the high release, like he kind of is unconscious in a similar way. Has the pull up ability, doesn't defend great. So like I see that.
But what about in terms of an athlete?
I mean Michael Porter's longer. I mean Michael Porter's
Yeah,
a good athlete. I'm not saying he's not a super athlete. Like he's more athletic than Jett Howard, but I think it's an attainable type of archetype you're looking at.
interesting.
What do you think? Who do you got?
I have Desmond Bane. I already said.
What about Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Well, I mean, it's not Tim Hardaway Senior. Tim
Tim Hardaway
Hardaway.
Jr.
See, what I feel like, like Tim Hardaway, obviously, he's like a guard / wing. I don't know if Jett Howard can ever get to the guard area. I
It
don't think
feels
you.
like he's gonna have to be more of a wing forward.
Yeah, and it's gonna lean more toward forward, and if the defense doesn't get there, in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I have Porter and Hardaway, and then I just threw Landry Shamet on there, but Landry Shamet's obviously more of a guard. But I think they have a similar type of release on their
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
where it's interesting to me. It's like right here, boom, boom. So that's the interesting part. Are you worried at all offensively that he doesn't have any ability to like dribble or create for himself?
I mean, I don't think it's needed. I mean, like you think of Desmond Bane, I feel like he's developed that a little bit now, but
Yeah.
like his first year when it was like, oh, this guy can play at the NBA level, what'd you need him to do? Shoot. And if you can shoot at a high level, the thing with Jett Howard that I think is going to make it to where it's instantly translatable is the fact that he's able to pull up from deep and not
Mhm.
be bothered by closeouts. Because I feel like a lot of college shooters that go in the NBA, the closeouts and just the different level defender gets to them
Yeah.
and then they don't pan out. Whereas I think Jett Howard won't have a problem with that.
I do feel good. Like I said, the most appealing thing watching him is how high is like he does have the high release, good
Mm-hmm.
elevation. He's 6'8", like a high volume guy. Like I have no worries about him. I mean, average 14 points per game on 37% from three, 41% from the field,
Yeah.
80% from the line.
And he
Like
shot 7 threes a game.
that's a really high volume. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah, high
really feel
volume.
good about his upside as a scorer that he can score in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's just how it's the same thing with Grady Dick. It's a similar thing with Hawkins. It's like how high can their ceiling be? And one of those three is gonna like develop into being like really good in the coming years, but I just can't bet on them as
Yeah.
individuals being like, okay, this guy is gonna develop an isolation ability. This guy's gonna develop into being a great shooter. Like I see it the most with Hawkins
Yeah.
more than any of them, but Howard I think has that Michael Porter Jr. type of archetype and potential in the future. So that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what Howard and just to finish Howard, what Howard has for me that the other two don't, and Hawkins and Dick is well, he doesn't have the handle, but I like his playmaking a lot more than those other two. I feel
Yes.
like he's able to make the better reads. I
Yeah.
mean, he picks the roll man good off of DHOs and things like that. So that's what makes me think that in terms of a playmaker, he can be a little more dynamic.
Could be an interesting screener as well.
Yeah.
6'8", if he get a little stronger, maybe screen, pick and pop type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. I mean, obviously they'd switch it, but if you have a good enough guard, they try not to switch it, and you could get him on some pick and pop type stuff. So
Yep.
that would be interesting. All right, that's all we have for y'all today. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Let us know what you think of Jett Howard in the replies below, and we will be back with another episode soon.